Hey baking fans, it's time for another Food Math Friday, episode 9. Guess what we're making today? You probably won't guess it. It's okay. It's gonna be apple spice cupcakes with salted caramel whipped cream. So that's gonna be super tasty. As you can see, it takes a lot of ingredients. So I better get started. It's just gonna be a lot of work. First step, preheat the oven. I'm gonna go to 350 degrees. I've lined my 2 baking pans with cupcake liners. Recipe says it makes 14 cupcakes, so I used my 3x4 pan. Can anybody tell me how many cupcakes that is? And then I added another 2 over there, if that doesn't give you a hint. So I need a half a cup of melted butter. As you can see, I have cut up my stick of butter. 1 stick is equal to half a cup. I'm going to drop it into that cup and microwave it until it's all melted. Heads up, pro tip, cut up pieces, melt faster. Melting butter in the microwave. Do not do it all in one go. Do it in short bursts and watch it. And make sure you stir in between so that everything evenly melts. You can also do this in a saucepan, which I'd recommend if you have the time. I don't today, but it would be my preferred method. In a medium bowl, I'm going to whisk together my half cup of butter, 1/3 of a cup of granulated sugar, and 2/3 cup dark brown sugar. That's our whisked together mixture. Now I'm going to add an egg one at a time. Egg number 1, egg number 2. Whisk till smooth. Adding 1/3 of a cup of milk, and 2 teaspoons vanilla. 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons. Then go ahead and set our wet mixture aside, and we're going to start our dry ingredients. Into our large bowl goes 1.5 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon baking soda. So I found out while editing today's video that it turns out I had my camera on while my camera was facing the counter, and then would turn it off for part of the video that I was taking of me putting in dry ingredients. Things that we missed were 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a full teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. We then whisked all of those dry ingredients together, which made our dry mix, which we then added to our wet ingredients. For this next step, I've pulled out my handy dandy stand mixer just because it's going to make it easier for me to film, guys. But you should be able to do this by hand too if you'd like. We are now going to slowly combine our wet ingredients with our dry ingredients. We are now going to set this batter aside for a minute while I peel and finely chop a Granny Smith apple. So you guys might notice that my apples are not as quote-unquote finely chopped as some people like them. When I bite into something that's supposed to have apple pieces in it, I like to actually be able to tell it's got apple in it. So you can keep the chopping level to whatever you'd like, whatever you prefer, but I'm going to leave mine a little coarser. I'm going to add my apples to the batter and then slowly fold them in. Come on. This is going to take a minute. Added, and apples folded in. Filling our cups 3/4 of the way full. I'm gonna do this off screen, guys. Alright guys, batter's in. Turns out that for my cupcake size, I guess, I only was able to get 13. Which is perfectly fine. All serving sizes are estimates anyway. Now we're gonna drop these guys into the oven for 21 to 23 minutes. And at the halfway point, we need to rotate them. All right, guys, time to turn. And in for another 10.5 minutes. For this next step, we're going to be making our caramel sauce, which needs to cool before we can add it into our whipped cream mixture, which means I need to get it done pretty much while the cupcakes are baking so that as the cupcakes cool, so does the sauce. So when you're making caramel sauce, you're going to be throwing sugar into a hot pan and basically melting it until it turns into a beautiful caramel color. But because I have to stir it and be careful not to burn, I've also prepped my other ingredients so that they can go in right when they need to. So we're going to heat our pan to medium heat. medium. And we're just going to add our sugar right into the pan. Stirring constantly, it's going to form clumps and it's going to turn a beautiful brown color, hopefully. So this is 1 cup of sugar that I am weirdly stirring in a pan right now. The recipe does say use a rubber spatula to do this and stir constantly. The whole process should take about 10 minutes. So we'll see. And I'm getting my first lumps. Lumps is a good thing in this matter because your sugar is going to lump up before it melts down. Got some pretty good lumps going now, guys. And we got some melting action going. Alright, our butter is fully melted, so I'm going to add the heavy cream now. Allowing to boil for 1 minute. Saucer is removed from heat, and now I'm going to add in my salt, which is a teaspoon of salt. And that is some beautiful caramel right there, folks. Well, salted caramel sauce. So I'm going to stir this for another minute, and then I'm going to allow it to sit and cool to room temperature before using. At that point, it will have thickened, and it will be amazing. Alright guys, pulling out our cupcakes. They look awesome. Putting them on a cooling rack to cool. They need to cool completely before we can frost them. Okay guys, so it's been about an hour and a half and my cupcakes are completely cooled and my caramel sauce is room temperature. So it is time to start some salted caramel whipped cream topping. It's gonna be awesome. Now for this whipped cream, you do have to use a hand mixer or a stand mixer. So I've got my whisk attachment on my stand mixer, which is what I'm going to be using. We're going to go ahead and combine our heavy cream, our dark brown sugar, and our caramel sauce all at once and whip until we have stiff peaks. So in goes our 1.5 cups of heavy whipping cream. Now you can use heavy cream, but I like heavy whipping cream just because it makes it easier to whip. 1 tablespoon dark brown sugar. And 1/4 cup of our salted caramel sauce. I'm going to have to scrape this out, guys, so it's going to be off screen. Sorry about that. Alright, so we're going to turn this on to high speed. Going to get this up to high speed slowly. And careful about the splash zone. We're getting there. And I think we're there. Alright, so if I'm right, when I lift this up, I should get a nice stiff peak stuck in my whisk. That looks so yummy! So there you have it, one perfectly frosted and drizzled salted caramel whipped cream and spiced apple cupcake. Now, if you guys are going to make these, be aware they do need to be stored in the refrigerator once they are frosted. So keep that in mind. They're good for up to 4 days in the refrigerator. I'm assuming that's because of all the whipped cream. Just saying. Thank you guys for joining me once again in my kitchen. This was Amanda, the Center Director for Mathnasium of Great Neck, Virginia. I'm signing off, but before I do, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can see more Food Math Friday every week, and to comment in the comment section to let me know what you might want me to make. I'm taking requests now, so if you've got a favorite, let me know, and I might make it. Again, if you need help with math, or you think your student could use some math enrichment, check out mathnasium.com/GreatNeckVA for a complimentary assessment. You can take home a copy of the results for free, and we can talk about how Mathnasium makes math make sense. See you next time.